Welcome to Sunrise Life, the podcast where we have deep conversations with fellow freelance models. And today I have Riley Jade on the line. Say hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me.
No, thank you for having me. I've been listening to this podcast for a while, so it's really cool to be on here and be on the
I appreciate that. And thank you for listening. It's helpful when people come into the interview kind of knowing what to expect.
Yeah, no, I've had a broken knee, so I've just been having to do all my physio exercises and listen to podcasts. So I've kind of been binging, to be honest. It's been great.
Wow, you said you have injured knees?
Yeah, I broke my knee skiing, so I'm in full physio mode at the moment.
Oh my God, I did not know that you're a skier. That's cool.
Yeah, I wasn't until I moved. I'd never actually seen the snow until I moved to Canada. And then I got a job at the ski hill. I didn't realize it, but I actually had to ski to work. So I turned up my first day and they're like, "Where's your skis?" And I was like, I don't know. And then, so yeah, they gave me 2 free lessons and then sent me on my way to ski to my job every day. So I learned pretty quickly. But yes.
I also ski.
Oh, nice. Amazing.
Yeah. How exactly did you break your knee?
I was doing a tree run, which I'd done that exact run multiple times, but I don't know. I wasn't like, oh, I've lost control. I just, hit the tree straight away. And it was -17. I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but it was very, very cold and deep snow. And I was, just lying there with a broken knee. It wasn't much fun, but we had surgery and some the physio stage. So recovering slowly.
That is like one of my worst nightmares.
Yeah, it's my first bone I've ever broken, first big injury. So it's been a learning curve, but everything I enjoy doing is like dancing, modeling, hiking. So I'm very keen to go hard at physio and get it all fixed up ASAP.
Wow. So how long ago did you move to Canada?
I moved almost 6 years now, which is crazy. It was meant to be like a 1-year little adventure, but things changed. I fell in love with the mountains. So yeah, I'm still here.
So did you go there right before the pandemic hit?
It was actually during COVID, which was moving countries in the middle of a pandemic, because I do not recommend. It was very stressful. I had to apply to leave Australia and they denied my application first and then I had to apply again. Getting a flight was crazy. It was very interesting. But my visa, it was kind of my only chance because my visa was going to expire. So yeah, I took a chance and it was stressful, but I'm glad I did it in the long run.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like moving to a different country in general, let alone during the pandemic.
Yeah, I've probably never been so stressed in my life. I generally didn't know if I was moving to meet a guy. So he was moving to Canada from England and I was moving from Australia. It was a lot easier for him. And I just generally didn't know if I was getting on the flight or not because they kind of make it like in Australia, it's like if you get on this flight, you can't come back for another few years. Like that's how it was during the pandemic. So it was really stressful. And poor guy, he was getting on his flight. He's like, "Well, I'll see you in Canada." And I was like, "I'm not sure." And I was like literally at the airport when I decided to get on the plane. I was like, "I'm just going to go there and see how I feel." And then, I kind of just zoned out and followed the crowd onto the plane and off I went. It was a time.
Wow, that's wild. That's wild. What? So you moved to Canada for a guy. That's cool.
Yeah, it didn't last. I always say I ended up falling in love with the mountains instead of him. Oops. But yeah, we got to give it a go, which was we'd been doing long distance. So we're like, let's actually give this a go. So we did. It didn't work out, but no regrets. We're still friends, so it's all good.
Oh, that's nice that you're still friends.
Yeah.
That's good. Cool. So how did you first get into modeling?
Yeah, so I danced for like all my childhood and teenage years, and then I was having some issues with the muscles in my knees. Seems to be an ongoing story now with my knee injury. But I had stopped dancing, and I was 19. I was living at home at my parents' farm, and I was sort of had this like creative void in my life. So I was like, oh, I need to do something to fill that creativity. And I was on Gumtree. I think it's the same as your guys, like Craigslist. And I was actually looking for a secondhand bed for my bedroom. And I typed in the area that I was looking for, but I hadn't typed in what I was looking for. And I pressed search. So it just came up with everything listed under that area. And the first thing was a photographer, and he was looking for a model to practice his photography. And I was like, oh, like that's interesting. definitely not the bed I was looking for. But so yeah, I messaged him. I was like, I'm not a model at all, but if you're interested in doing a shoot, like I'm keen. And he replied, he was like super down. So we did the shoot, and I'm so grateful for him because he made it such a respectful, like enjoyable experience. And, you know, if it had been a horrible experience, I don't know if I would have continued modeling, but he really made it like a really nice experience. And I found modeling came super easy to me. I think it's because of dancing. Like it's really is kind of a, I know, static, awkward dance when you think about it. But I was very used to expressing emotion and stuff through my body from dancing. So yeah, we did the shoot, and at the end he's like, "Oh, you're pretty good at this. You should make a model mayhem side." So I did that. I didn't even know what it was, but I did that, and I looked to my area, and there was 3 photographers within the 1-hour radius of where I lived. So I shot with them all, and it was just a really nice creative outlet that I really enjoyed. And then I did that for a bit, and then I moved to the city, the university, and I changed my Model Mayhem location on there to the big city, Brisbane. And yeah, I was like, oh, wow, look, there's a lot more photographers here. So yeah, I kept doing it as a TFP, kind of just as a creative outlet and a social. I didn't know anyone in the city, so that was kind of my community for the first year. And I really, really enjoyed it, but I was getting a little tired of just like similar fashion poses. I wanted something a bit more creative. And yeah, and that's when I discovered art nude, which I just fell in love with. I can tell you like how I got into art nude if you want as well.
Yeah, I'm curious what it was like transitioning from clothes modeling into the more art nude modeling. Like, did you have any hesitations about it in the beginning?
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up like in a very remote, rural country community, and I had a great childhood, but it was very conservative, especially around nudity. It was like as teenagers, us girls, we weren't allowed to wear like some of the adults didn't like us wearing bikinis. You had to like wear a shirt on top. So it was that kind of vibe. So I had this like really like nudity was taboo, it was sinful kind of attitude. And I remember like when I was like 18, I hated bathrooms with big mirrors because I'd have to see myself naked in there. And it wasn't like, oh, I don't like my body. It was just like nudity in general is bad. So that was kind of like the attitude I had been brought up around. So that was why I was kind of going into the situation with. So when I started doing just like the fashion and stuff, some art nude work, I've started copying up on my Instagram. And I think it was Sylphia. There was a really beautiful photo of her. She was lying nude on a log and so, on a tree branch, her body was molding with the shape. I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, that's so beautiful, but I could never do something like that. And then I had a photographer who I'd worked with quite a bit, is doing dance stuff. And he messaged me and he's like, I know you don't do art nude, so feel free to ignore this email, but I had this like low key, really artistic implied shoot I'd like to do. And I think with your posing, you'd be great. But again, it's not your style. So I just wanted to ask you first, but totally fine if you say no. And I was a little hesitant, but then he said, look, we can do the shoot. And at the end, we can put the SD card on the computer. And if you don't like any of them, we delete them all, which is like for a photographer to say that is pretty. And I totally believe he would have done that. So I was like, this is literally the best opportunity I'm ever going to get to try this out. So let's just do it. So yeah, I went and I'll never forget the moment I was lying on the floor in this pose, nude. And it was implied, so I had my arm over my chest. And I had just this, in my brain, I had all of what society had told me about. This is bad, this is, wrong, rah, rah, you should be ashamed in my head. But I also had like, this is amazing, this is so empowering. I feel so free, I feel so feminine. I just had this like full-on war going on in my head. And it was a really interesting moment. Obviously, the me won out because I'd made it in my career and absolutely love it. So yeah, it was a cool experience. And then after that, I got into outdoor nude, which I just absolutely love. And yeah, that's kind of how it all started.
Oh, that's so nice that that photographer gave you the option that if you didn't like it, that he would just delete all the photos. Like having that amount of security in like just and the trust with the person that you're working with, I'm sure contributed to your willingness to give it a shot.
100%. Yeah, I'm so grateful to him. You hear so many horror stories about people kind of being coerced in situations. And I have had that further on down the line with my modeling. But yeah, for that to be the start of it was really, really special. And yeah, we did another shoot like 2 weeks after that. And I was like, oh, stuff the implied stuff. I was like dancing around everywhere and like so free. And it was really cool.
That's awesome. And it's so cool that you were inspired by seeing photos of Sylphia. I've been looking at her stuff for a long time too, and I think she's amazing. And honestly, I'd love to have her on the podcast too.
yes, Sylph, you should. Yeah, she's a really good friend of mine now, which is super cool. I think she was my second duo I ever did was with Sylph. So that was, yeah, we're good friends now. Which is awesome.
That's awesome. I love that in like today's like network of traveling freelance art models that a lot of us like are quicker to befriend each other than to like write each other off. Like when I started in '06, it was very cutthroat and models didn't like want to be friends with each other back then. But now because of social media, like people are a lot more willing to be helpful with each other. And I just love that.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, my experience has been, I would say, completely, yeah, very open and friendly. And I think we just have such a unique life that, I talk to my other friends or my boyfriend about it, but no one really gets it other than talking to another art new model. So it's really cool that we have this community.
Yeah, and that's part of why I love doing this podcast because we get to like share stories and like, learn how each other's I also think it's interesting learning about the platforms. Like I don't think that I heard that of Gumroad, and Gumroad is like another like part of the world's version of Craigslist. Like
yeah, Gumtree. Yeah.
Gumtree, not Gumroad. My bad. That's cool. Yeah, I had shoots from Craigslist in my early modeling also.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I would accept shoots on there anymore. I don't know. But yeah, we all start somewhere.
Yeah, I think I looked on Craigslist recently just to see what was there, and there was like nothing. Like a long time ago there were just like lots of old people that like didn't have Facebook or whatever yet, or like Model Mayhem or anything like that, and Craigslist was like the newspaper for them, like the new age newspaper. But I think that generation just nobody's using Craigslist to find models anymore.
Yeah, which is good because it's pretty hard to reference check from there,
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
exactly. It is literally like somebody just putting their phone number on the internet. You don't know what you're walking into.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Does Gumroad also have like, stuff for sale and like whatever stuff like that too?
Yeah, that like it's definitely still used as like a marketplace kind of thing. That's definitely its main thing.
Gumtree. I think I said Gumroad again, Mike.
It's all good.
That's great. Well, I'm happy to hear that that first art nude shoot that you did it's interesting to hear about the conflicting feelings that you have because like of a lot of the people that I've interviewed and then my own feelings included, like the nudity parts, like the negative feelings around it were all like imposed from like people around me, like, church groups or like family or just like people at school talking negatively about like nudity or like sluttiness or whatever. And so all of those negative ideas were coming from the outside. But when you're doing it and you know that your intentions are pure and that like the people that you're working with are like not doing it for some like weird, like creepy angle, it's just it is empowering, and it's hard to like in the very beginning, it's really hard for me to remember exactly what this felt like, but like reflecting back, it's like if you know that it feels good to you in your heart, then going with it and pursuing it feels right.
100%. Yeah, I think art nude modeling was such a lesson for me. And like, if it's making you happy and it's not hurting yourself or anyone else, like go for it. And it's like really just working through, because I had a lot of my friends from uni, they were all talking about me behind my back about it. And I really didn't tell many people at all that I was always like a dance model. I'm doing a dance shoot about the nude modeling. And yeah, it was just like, this makes me happy. Like, if you want to judge me and you're not happy that I'm happy, then that's kind of a you problem. Yeah, it really, really did teach me that lesson. And I'm grateful for that because I've managed to apply that to other parts of my life as well.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I love that you brought that up, that it helps you like think about other parts of your life as well. Just like not worrying about what other people think and letting other people's opinions affect your decisions in life. Is that kind of what you mean by that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like, I went through that when I started art new modeling, and then again when I decided to start on OnlyFans. Like, it was always like more and more judgment, but I'm just like, why? Like, I'm happy. This works for me. It's not hurting anyone else. Like, I'm doing it. And yeah, I'm really glad I had the courage, I guess, to make that choice. And yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, OnlyFans has such a huge stigma about it, and it's very annoying.
It's really frustrating. And I think it really frustrates me in that people often that'll override my modeling, when in reality for me, like, the OnlyFans is a very, very small part of my modeling business as such, that people will be like, oh, you're an OnlyFans girl. I'm like, no, like, like that. It's just because there's so much like stigma and that attached to that, which is all ridiculous, but it does take away from my art nude modeling, which is my real passion. And then my OnlyFans, personally, it's very tame. I always have people disappointed on there. They're like, "Ooh," I'm like, "Sorry, I said it was basically art nude stuff," but yeah, it does frustrate me, the sort of stigma around it, and it's just so stupid and unnecessary.
I agree. So I actually ended up having to move to the bathroom because the leaf blower started again.
Oh no, Ellie.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not too echoey in here, but I have good editing software, so
Nice. No, sure. Good.
fine. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Well, I'd like to ask you a question that I like to ask everybody on the show. Can you tell a story or two of some of your crazy modeling experiences? It could be something funny that's happened at a shoot, or like something that happened with a photographer, or like the situation surrounding a shoot. What's one or two of your craziest modeling stories?
I'm very lucky, and I don't have like some of the horror stories I hear. I have managed to avoid those. I think it's pure luck, but yeah. But I'll tell you a funny story. So I was shooting at a beach, and the photographer and I still had my clothes on, and we did the whole trip. We looked left and right down the beach. We looked at the little cliff up the top. We looked up there, no one around. So we're like, all right, all clear. I take my clothes off and I walk out into the water, and I was about like almost just like thigh deep in the water. And I'm posing, and then in front of me, I see some bubbles. And I was like, what? And then these two scuba divers popped up like about 2 meters in front of me. Oh my God, you can't check everywhere. And I'll never forget their mask. Their eyes were just like these wide, wide balls in their scuba masks. They were super chill. They were just laughing. I was like, oh, sorry. But yeah, it was pretty funny, especially since we took the effort to check around, and yeah, can't check everywhere.
You never know when they're going to come up from below.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know who was more shocked, me or them, but it was pretty funny.
Did you end up seeing them again at the water surface? Or?
We kind of they had to walk quite a bit away to their gear, so we didn't. We just sort of laughed at each other as they were in their flippers, and it's really awkward to get out of water when you're diving. So I think they were pretty occupied with that, so I left them to it. But
That's funny. Yeah, I'm sure they were surprised. And I kind of wonder how often stuff like that happens. Like, as a model, like, I'm also getting naked out in nature all the time. And every once in a while I bump into somebody. But like in general, like if you're like a hiker or a scuba diver or a fisherman or something like that, like what are the chances that there's going to be like an art nude shoot happening really close to where you happen to be? I wonder how rare that actually is. Yeah.
there's one spot in Sydney, you might have shot there, La Perouse. It's quite close to the city, and it's all these beautiful rocks. And I swear the only people that ever go there, nude photographers, nude models, and fishermen. So I think those fishermen probably have seen their fair share of art nude shoots happening. But
Yeah, I've actually been to La Perouse. I've been to Australia a few times, and it's beautiful, and I would definitely love to go there again someday. But I really liked that waterfront park. It is. I love the rocks.
yeah, they're like, oh, they've got so much texture. I love them. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wonder if people that like bump into nude shoots come back again frequently. Wondering if it's gonna happen again.
Yeah, probably. There's probably some poor fisherman waiting at a rock ages, and no one's ever gone there again.
Yeah, possibly. Um, yeah. So, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty funny one. Did you have any others that kind of stuck out in your memory that you wanted to share?
And just I had I think it was my second outdoor art nude shoot. So I was still like getting used to the whole world. And we're doing like a mix of art nude and dance. And I had shot with this photographer before. So it wasn't completely like I didn't know who he was, but it was a sunrise shoot in the forest. And so I pulled up in my little car and it was dark and there's literally mist coming out of the forest. I was like, oh my God, this is literally the start of a horror movie. And I was like, at least I have my car as like a getaway thing. And then I parked just on the side of the road by the forest, and I think there was a cement brick in the grass, and my tire popped, and I was like, no, I don't have my getaway car. But the photographer came, and it was like he was lovely. We did the shoot, and we did art nude first, and then we did dance at the end. And I had my full tutu, like it's a full like swan lake kind of tutu. And then he took me back to my car and I explained, I was like, oh, I've got this flat tire. He's like, oh, we'll have to call someone. And I was like, oh no, like I'm a farm girl. I know how to change a tire. So I was in my tutu changing this tire and he had no idea how to change a tire. So he's like kind of like flitting around, like trying to be helpful. I'm like in my full belly tutu, like doing this tire change. And he took a photo actually. It was pretty funny. And he was super nice. He ended up paying for me to get a new tire to replace my old one. But, but yeah, it was a pretty funny scenario.
Oh my God. I love that. And that just kind of goes to show how a lot of us traveling freelance models also happen to be the type of people who are like self-sufficient and like know how to like handle a situation when it comes up.
Yeah, that's so true. I think, we have to be at least very independent because, it's a pretty independent job. We're traveling around the world. A lot of us don't have managers. We're kind of doing all of that ourselves. So yeah, you have to be able to just deal with stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've had to change a tire, knock on wood. But now that I've said that, it's going to happen on my next trip. The visual of you in a tutu changing your tire is just giving me life right now.
Yeah. Listen, I think he said, oh, this should have been the whole photo shoot. But oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that concept, and it's just, like, things that happen that, like, you wouldn't have been able to make it up on your own that turn out being, like, the interesting concepts.
Yeah, 100%.
So, how old were you when you started learning how to dance?
I had my first dance lesson when I was 6 years old, which sounds really young, but like so many people start when they're like 3. But yeah, it was just once a week. I was born in Zimbabwe, so that was in Zim in Africa. And then when we moved to like the middle of nowhere in Australia, Mum, she used to drive me an hour, it was an hour and a half to my dance classes every Thursday. So hats off to her. It was a solid effort. And then when I got to my teenage years, I was dancing like there was one stage where I was literally dancing every single day after school and then on the weekends. So it was a lot, but I loved it.
Wow, that is an intense schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. It was probably too much. Not looking back, I should probably have made some friends and invested in something other than dancing. But yeah, I was enjoying it at the time. So
That's good. Yeah, it's just such a great, like, skill to go alongside with the art modeling.
100%. Yeah, it's really definitely. And I went on to study dance. I like dance choreography at uni, and I think especially choreography just helps so much with posing. Like, it's kind of like unique poses and think about body awareness and just like expression through movement, through your body. And yeah, using your body as an art form is just very like art, nude, and dance are the two things I would think of as the most linked to that
Yeah.
realm of art. Yeah.
And as I'm looking at a lot of your photos, I'm noticing like a good amount of that you're jumping and like you seem to be able to catch quite some air.
Yeah, I think there's this one dance leap. I used to do it all the time. And it kind of became, there was a few photographers and models calling it the Riley leap, which is fun. So yeah, I kind of maybe regret a little bit making myself such a name for jumping because now like I get booked for a lot of dance stuff in studios to cement floors, and I'm having to be a lot more strict with how much jumping I do. And just because it's not good for your body, like an actual dance studio, the floors, they have a bit of bounce in them. So it's fine. But a lot of the like photography studios are just cement floors or whatever. So I do love doing the dance leaps. And if I'm in a situation where it's easy for my body, then I'll go for it. But now for studio stuff, I have to be a little more like conservative, a little bit strict on it all, especially with photographers if they don't get the timing correct and they want to do it like a million times. I'm like, all right, you've got 3 attempts, like, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever like let them know that they should just put their shutter into like the fast shutter mode, like right off the bat? Because sometimes it takes a few attempts for them to be like, oh wait, I should change it into rapid shooting mode.
Yeah, I do with the studio lighting. I have one light, they tried to do that and there was literally smoke coming out of the light. So that's a bit of a challenge. What I normally like to do for getting dance leaps correct is I'll be like, everyone just stop and watch me. So they like no photos, just watch my leap. So then you can see like the moment you want to capture. Because I think when people are trying to shoot and it just they don't get it as quickly. And I always say like, watch my bottom foot, because if my bottom foot's fully pointed, then you've got it. But often you'll get like, my foot will stop pointing as I'm trying to land or as I'm taking off. And so if you get that moment, you haven't got it. So yeah, I just get photographers to look at my dance leap as I do it once, and everyone just watch, especially for workshops. And then they can see what they want to capture. So then I normally count them in. I'm like, I'm going to step forward, do this little jump, and then the big jump. So I'm like, 1, 2, click. So I kind of, I'm pretty good at getting them to get the timing now, which is, it's fun. It's a good creative challenge.
Oh, that's good. And it's good that you have that system down.
Yeah.
And so now that you're recovering from that knee injury, like what does the future of jumping look like for you?
I'm going to go on a positive note and I will be back to full jumping mode. But yeah, we'll see. Honestly, my physio is pretty positive that I'll be back to full functioning of everything at some point. But yeah, I guess time will tell. We'll see.
Yeah. And so where you're at right now, like, are you able to walk? Are you on crutches or?
I'm in my grandma era. I have my walking frame. His name is Wally. So yeah, I can do crutches as well. But yeah, I have a walking frame that I hobble around with. Yeah, that's that.
Wow. And so what are you doing in the meantime? Like, because within that state, you obviously can't do shoots right now.
No, so I don't do modeling full time anymore. I live in Jasper. It's in a national park in the Rockies in Canada. And so I work at a bar, which I can't do now either. But so that's what I work as a bar as my main job. And then I do like a few tours and a few events throughout the year. So that's how my normal schedule looks like. At the moment, I can't do anything. So I literally do physio full time. Yeah, it's a full time job, my physio exercises at the moment. I have a machine that I have to put my leg in and it bends and stretches it for me. It's down for 4 hours and it makes this awful creaking noise and it's so annoying. But yeah, so yeah, life's not my normal life right now, but we'll get there.
Sounds painful. How long ago did that injury happen?
The 22nd of December.
Okay, so a few months.
Yeah. So I had to wait 16 days for surgery because the health system, that's the whole thing. Basically, it was, I just had to wait a long time for surgery, which put everything back, put the healing process back quite a bit.
Yeah, right before Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Man.
But anyway.
So looking into the near future, do you have modeling trips planned right now, or are you waiting to see more how your knee heals?
I was meant to do a modeling trip to Australia for March now, but luckily I hadn't actually got around to organizing it all. I just kind of put some feelers out there, so it wasn't like I had to cancel any shoots or anything. But still, it's disappointing because I love going back to Aussie. It was my first new community, and so I love catching up with everyone and shooting there. So yeah, it's pretty disappointing I can't make that happen. But my next big thing is in June. I've got my event with Sierra and my physios, and the doctor all said it should be fine by then. So I'm not too stressed about that.
Oh, good. That's good. Good. Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. We did the event last year and it went so well. So I'm super keen to do it again. And just being able to shoot in the Rockies where I live, and I love all the spots here. So it's really nice to be able to share them with photographers as well.
So for the people listening, is that trip already sold out, or is there still a spot available?
It is sold out. Yeah, we actually sold out pretty fast, which is exciting. But I do offer, so I've done this for years now. I think it's quite similar to what you do, actually. If photographers want to just come out to the Rockies, you're at such a beautiful spot here, and I know so many cool hidden spots. They can just turn up basically with their camera, and I can organize all the locations, and I can do the driving if we need, and just organize a day at awesome locations in the Canadian Rockies. So I've had a few photographers come and do that. It's been a lot of fun. So that's definitely an option if anyone wants to shoot out here with lakes and mountains and waterfalls.
That's amazing. I'm sure that's a stunning opportunity, especially to shoot one-on-one, because workshops and group events aren't for everybody.
Yeah, no, that's true. We actually had one photographer. He did the group event last year, and he loved it. He loved the locations and everything. But he's more a one-on-one photographer, so he's coming back this year and just booking me and Sierra just to do one-on-one in the mountains. So yeah, I'm organizing all the locations for that, which will be fun.
That's awesome. And I just did a little bit of creeping in the link in your bio, and I see that you've published a book called In Front of the Lens. I would love to hear more about that.
I was actually going to say that for my Rising Phoenix moment, but we can go for it.
Just go for it now. Rising Phoenix moment.
We're committing. Yeah, no, I thought I was trying to work out what my moment was. And I thought for me, like, that was definitely putting that book together it's kind of like I got to a point in my modeling career that I had enough experience and knowledge to put in a book and put it out to our community. And a lot of people found it really helpful and useful. So yeah, that was just a really cool place to be in for me in my career. And I was, really proud of putting that book together. And I had a lot of photographers who read it, messaged me, and they've been shooting models for years, and they're like, "Oh, I kind of just bought it to support you, but I read it, and I learned some stuff in there, so thank you." And then that other photographers who they're like messaging me, they're like, "Oh, I booked my first shoot with a model today, thanks to your book." So that's been like super, super cool to just be able to give something back to this community that I really love and put all my stuff together in a book.
I love that. So it's for photographers and aiding them in working with models.
Yeah, so I was looking online, and there's quite a lot of guides, I guess, on how to work with a model, but almost everything I saw was from a photographer's perspective, and I was like, it's definitely valuable, but I feel like we need our voice out there. So yeah, it started off as like a little Instagram post, and then I was like, oh, I have a bit more to say about this. Like, maybe it could be a blog. And then I was like, oh, I have a lot to say about this. So it was during COVID. I had time to kill. So I ended up putting it into, an ebook. It's kind of structured like before, during, and after a shoot. So before is like, I don't know, like platforms to find a model, TFP versus paid, like what you need to communicate with a model beforehand, like considerations when you're scouting locations, kind of, everything that creates good communication before booking the shoot. And then during the shoot is like how to communicate ideas, themes, poses, etiquette, like different types of model, considerations if you're shooting in the cold, all that kind of stuff. And then afterwards, if you want to share like crediting the model, or if you want to share the photos or not, like that kind of side of it. So yeah, it was really, and I've got a lot of anecdotes as well from just fun stories from my modeling as well.
I love that. And I love that one of the the effects of the book could possibly be people who were unsure about getting into model photography being inspired to buy a camera and start working with models.
Yeah, I have had, I think, about 5 photographers message me and kind of being like, yeah, I've done it. I've took the leap thanks to your book. So that was like super, super cool to be part of.
That is awesome. Do they have meetup.com in Australia or where you're at in Canada?
In Canada, yes, it's used. I know, like in the city, like Ottawa and stuff, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, because I found in the past when meetup.com was really popular, like a lot of those photography workshops were like kind of based on meetup.com, and it generated a lot of new photographers because it gave people like a way of getting into photography. But like your book could also have that same effect. And like, as freelance models, there's plenty of photographers out there for all of us, but it's always great to like encourage more and more people to get into photography, because it does feel like there's a lot more models getting into traveling modeling. And I'm like, there needs to be enough photographers out there to work with us to support the whole industry. So that's very cool what you've done.
100%. Yeah, I do think with social media, maybe it's made it like becoming a travel model is more of a known thing and maybe a bit easier now than like when I started, it was like, what is this world? Like you kind of have to just like figure it out yourself. But now it seems like there's more of a community, you can reach out and get more help. So I do think there's definitely increase in models and I do think there's an increase in photographers as well, which is cool. So yeah, and if my book's part of that, then yeah, very, very happy about that. And
Awesome.
another cool thing with my book was I was living at home with mum and dad at the time, and they were very proud of my modeling, but it was always doing dance modeling. The nude part was never, they knew that I did art nude, but it was never discussed. So it was, and I didn't like that because I wanted to really explain to them like why I do it and what my intentions behind and everything. So I didn't like it that it was kind of this undiscussed topic. So when I was writing my book, my mom, she does some editing for different things and she offered to edit it. And I was like, oh, like, definitely discusses that I do art nude and it's got some photos. And so I thought about it and then I was like, actually, yeah, let's go for it. So I didn't include it in the actual book, but in the version I sent her, I had a whole page explaining why I chose to do art modeling and what it means to me, etc. So when I sent it to her, I got to express very clearly, my whole intentions, which was really, really special to be able to do that. And she edited the whole thing. She still never talks about that nude part, but at least she knows. And it was really cool. My dad as well, like I don't know if he knows or not, but that's fine. But he was like really excited about, every time I made a sale, he's like, oh, you made another sale. And we had some champagne to celebrate. So it was just really cool to be able to include them in a bit of my career that I'd made and kind of express all that. So that was a really nice extra bonus part of the book.
That's awesome. It really shows that you are like dedicated to your craft and you're doing it because you're passionate about it, not because it's just the only way that you could like find a way to make money in modeling. And I feel like with my parents, it was kind of similar. Like until they had a reason to believe that I was actually safe and happy in what I was doing, then they were kind of like, all right, that's cool. Like they were more supportive afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it was, which at the end of the day, I understand, your daughter's, I don't know, in another country going to meet someone on the internet that she doesn't know. Like you can see how it can be a concern from their perspective. But I have explained to them, I'm like, I do thorough checks, I do background checks, like I do the best I can. Once I started making it more of a career and they realized that it worked for me and it was what I loved, they were supportive of the dance modeling. They still call it dance modeling.
And that's fine. It is still dance modeling. Sometimes with a dress, sometimes without a dress.
Exactly. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you seem to have a good relationship with your parents and that they're supportive and understanding.
Yeah, definitely. And like now, because it's always so weird when you finish a tour, I always think like if, I don't know, music band finishes a tour, they all go out for drinks and it's like this, group celebration. But when you finish a modeling tour, you're normally just like, oh, okay, well, that was fun. And you don't have anyone to celebrate it with. So now I always call my mum and we just have this little celebration on the phone. So it's really special.
Oh, that is nice. How long are your tours usually?
Probably like around a month. So they're not, some, I know like AIM does these crazy long tours. Yeah, I was like a full travel model, like nomadic model for about a year. And it was fun, but I was pretty burnt out by the end of it. So yeah, I kind of like where I'm at now. It's still, it doesn't become a job. Like obviously it's a job, but it's not like, oh, I have to go to work. It's still like a excitement and a passion. So yeah, I really like the balance I've got.
Wow. And now that you're based in Canada, are most of your trips within Canada? Or?
I do kind of one Canadian tour and one Australian tour every year is kind of what I aim for. Then occasionally I'll get over to Europe. But yeah, because I live quite remotely in the mountains. So it's not like, oh, I can just drive and do a tour. I have to fly to the other side of Canada kind of thing. So it's still take a chunk of time off work. But my job here is they're super chill. As long as it's not in the busy session, they're more than happy for me to go off and do my thing. So that's really nice.
Yeah, that is nice. If you're working, you said you work at a bar?
Yeah. So it's super chill. Although I did actually have a photographer come in. I shot with him in Edmonton, so it's about 4 hours away. And he came in and he was like, Riley. And I was like, oh my God, like none of my colleagues, none of them know about my modeling. And I was like, oh wow, this is two worlds colliding. It was pretty funny.
So your coworkers don't know about your modeling?
No. And I use a different name for modeling. So they're like, why is he calling you Riley? I was like, oh, that's my nickname. It was pretty funny. And a lot of them are the Indian guys, so they're quite conservative. So they just wouldn't understand my modeling. So it was pretty funny. I like half explained to them just to give them some context about why this random man was yelling out Riley to me. It was pretty funny.
Oh, that is funny.
Yeah.
Well, I used to work at a restaurant a long time ago. I was modeling kind of on the side, and then my restaurant was my main income at the time. And I remember like when my coworkers started finding out about my modeling through like my Facebook fan page or whatever,
Yeah.
the work environment started getting weird.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. Yeah. I like to just keep, especially I live in such a small town as well. So yeah, I'm very proud of what I do. And when I was full-time traveling, I would just tell everyone. It was kind of a nice, I was in a hostel. I'm like, oh yeah, I do acne modeling. Like I wouldn't like boast about it, but if it just came up, I was like, I'm going to just have this little experiment. I'm never going to see these people again. Just like being fully open about it. And it was really cool. But when it's different when you like have to see these people every day, you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
leave it where it's at.
Yes, I fully agree because some people, like, especially if they know you, like, not through modeling, I find that, like, some people, when you tell them that you model, even without telling them that there's nudity involved, that they maybe feel uncomfortable sometimes. Like, they don't know what to say, or they get really, really interested, like, too interested.
And like, unfortunately, like just the word model has all these connotations and yeah. And I know, I just feel like I'm in my general life, I never wear makeup. Like I don't really get dressed up much. And I just feel like they're like, oh, I don't know. They have this connotation that if you're a model, you should be looking glamorous all the time and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I just feel like, I'm just going to leave that, leave it out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's totally, I find that like if I become really close friends with somebody, we're hanging out, I'm older now, so I don't like go hang out with people and like make new friends very often anymore. But in the past, when I would like to get to know them first before sharing any like modeling photos because I had also had some like negative interactions with like girlfriends of my guy friends,
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely I definitely wait till I know someone a bit more before I share my modeling. It's interesting. There's a few times I feel like I'm undercover. Like I'll be at a party or something or dinner party and people, this happened the other day, they'd start discussing like nude. Like, oh, some people pose nude or like people who are OnlyFans. And I'm just there like this undercover person. It's pretty funny. One time I had a bit to drink, so I started getting like very passionately defensive about OnlyFans girls. People like looking at me and I was like, oh. So yeah, it's pretty funny when it comes up and people have no idea that that's my whole world.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good to be like sticking up for the, I guess, perceived underdog in that situation since you lived that life. And I remember like I had an upbringing kind of similar to yours, very like conservative and religious and like nudity was wrong. And I remember when I was like 16 or something like that. I don't know why I was thinking this. I think like our church was like talking about like the sins of Playboy magazine or something like that. And I remember sitting there and thinking to myself, if I ever met somebody that was in Playboy, I would never talk to them. That would just be so awkward. And now today I'm a new model. So.
It's crazy. It's such an interesting, like, just, I don't know, society's what gets put on you and what you actually are. Like, I think, yeah, for a lot of people, nude modeling has been that contrast and realizing that.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a bit stigma about it. It also kind of goes to show me that, like, um, ideas that we may have in our mind about, like, how we would react around certain people or, like, what our morals are and why, like, once you get to know, like, people that are in that life, like, your perspective could change.
100%. Yeah. And I think it's a good lesson to see that happens to us in our bubble. And it's like, well, who are other people in the world experience that in different contexts, and just, yeah, keeping that open mind in all situations.
Yeah. So I notice a lot of your photos are outside and in cold places too. What is your cold tolerance like?
It's so funny. So I grew up in either Africa or Australia. Like, I'd never been exposed to cold weather. And I used to see, like, I think Sylph started doing some Europe tours and she'd go to Iceland, and I was like, you're crazy. I could never do that. And I was also like, I can never practice. Like, I can't, I'd love to go and do a shoot in Iceland, but like, how am I going to get used to this? And so it's really funny that now I got booked for events specifically because I'm good with cold weather, which is just such a turnaround. I'm like, but I'm the Australian. But yeah, so where I live now, it is winter for a lot of the year. And I was just like, oh, it's so magical and so beautiful in winter. So I was like, I have to do some self-portraits. And that's how it started. I finally bought a car. So it was like the second day I had my car, I drove down to this creek and it was -10 degrees, which, I don't know that in Fahrenheit, but it's very, very cold. And yeah, it was pretty crazy. I was like, my phone and the camera kept on, like, the batteries kept on dying because it was so cold. And the photos weren't even that great, but I felt so excited, so like happy to be doing photos in this beautiful location. So yeah, I've definitely got pretty used to it. I'm not good with cold water. That is my that I just can't do it. Yeah, our event with Sierra, we did it in summer, but there was one kind of cold day and I tried to get in the water and I was like, absolutely not. And she was in there, like, literally lying in, like, being an absolute legend. So it was good because I'm a lot better with cold wind than she is. So we had this like, all right, if it's water, you tap in, and if it's cold wind, I'll go. So that was kind of a cool little thing. But yeah, I've got some like little, I don't know, I have hand warmers, and then every time I put my jacket down, I make sure it's folded up so it keeps the heat in. That like really helps. I have a little mat that I like, a padded mat that I can stand on when I'm getting dressed and undressed, because I feel if my feet are touching the ground, that's like a completely different situation than just the rest of my body for coldness. And then I think, yeah, it's really important, like with the photographer, just to like do all the communication beforehand. It's like, what poses do you want? Where do you want me to be? Like, I'll do a practice with my full clothes on, and then, all right, let's go. So when you can be like, super efficient when it comes to actual shooting. But yeah, that makes the biggest difference.
Wow, that's all really good, like, advice. I had never thought of bringing like a pad or whatever. Like, I often bring a towel, but like, if you're having something specific to stand on.
Yeah, you can get them. They're like called, they're for hiking. Like, it's meant to be like a little seat when you're hiking, which I also use it for that, but I probably use it more for modeling. So it's like it's super lightweight, but it's quite insulated, so you don't feel the cold at all. So it definitely makes a big difference.
Wow, yeah. And so like, what is like, when it's cold out, do you know what your cold threshold is? Like, how cold can you survive for how much time? Or do you have a limit that you let people know of?
Yeah, I don't, just because it's like, if it's windy, and then I just feel like some days I can deal with more than other days. Yeah, I haven't like put a number on it or anything. I don't really get booked for too much like full on winter shoots. I think, which, for a photographer to drive all the way out here, and then if it's completely snowing or if it's crazy, like absolutely no-go cold, I wouldn't want that situation. So yeah, I haven't. It's mainly self-portraits that I do in the really, really cold situations. So I can just quit whenever I want to quit. But it's actually so funny. There's like this internal battle of the photographer versus the cold model in my brain when I'm doing self-portraits, and the cold model is like, I'm done. And the photographer in me is like, no, 2 more shoots, 2 more shots. So I'm always having this battle.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that as well. I mean, I do my best to survive the cold, and as long as I have like something to warm up with, like in between stuff, like I can make it happen to a certain point.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, there's other points you're like, this is not fun.
Yeah. I noticed also in your profile that you are an environmental activist. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I used to do a lot more when I was in Australia as part of a few different groups, and we used to organize protests, and like, we had a market stall, we used to talk about that. But now that I live in such a small town, there's not as much opportunity to do it. So I try to just, I don't know, if I get the opportunity, I definitely take it. Yeah, I've just always loved nature and be really passionate about it. And I think doing art nude, we use the natural environment so much in our creativity and our work. So I think it's just really important to respect it and try and be its voice when we can.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the world today, it does feel like, just like whispering into the wind when we're trying to defend like the environment and the earth. But like, I think that any effort is definitely worthwhile for sure. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I got like pretty bad, like they call it climate anxiety, but just like anxiety around the whole thing. So I think I took a little bit of a step back, but yeah, definitely trying to be a voice for nature whenever I can be.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of causes that are very worth fighting for, but like if everybody that like were to fight for every cause like that they cared about, it does take a toll. Like
100%.
and
Yeah.
I'm not saying that means that it's not worth doing. It is worth doing, but you also have to you know, take care of your own.
Yeah, find the balance. I got to a point when I like really struggled to go to a grocery shop because I would just think of like, oh, that's in plastic and this wasn't ethically produced, and like it was like really bad. So I was like, okay, like I'm not doing the environment or anyone any good being this anxious mess. So yeah, I had to just have a good check with myself and figure out, the balance. The balance is it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. And everything is covered in plastic.
Yeah, literally. Yep. Ugh.
It's
It's so
ridiculous.
frustrating. It's so hard to be like ethical. And like, how do we live in an environment, like a world when just being a good person is so hard sometimes?
Yeah. It's good to know what the options are. And for things that are like so easy to consume, there's often like an alternative that's a very similar thing that maybe isn't individually plastic wrapped.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I normally do thrift stores instead of like buying clothes new. Like, there's if you take the time to look into it, there's normally is a better alternative. But yeah, it is time and effort, and yeah.
I love thrift shopping.
Me too. Yes. There used to be such a good thrift store in Jasper, but we had a wildfire come through the town a year ago and it burned down the thrift store. And I'm like, no. So we haven't got one back yet, but hopefully soon.
Oh man. That's that sucks.
Yeah. Yes. But anyway.
My grandma was a bargain hunter and she loved garage sale shopping and thrift shopping.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. My mum, when I go back to Australia, it's our little tradition. We go to the thrift stores and we always have to try on the most ridiculous pair of heels. That's our fun that thing. So yeah, it was fun. We always do that.
That's cool. Well, we are getting close to our hour. I'd like to ask if there are more topics or anything else that you would like to be sure to talk about.
I'm trying to actually have a little list, but I think I'd actually probably talked way more about everything that I intended to. So yeah, I think I'm pretty good.
Okay, cool. I have a bonus question in that case.
Oh,
It's nothing crazy, I promise. So if you could go back in time to the very first, like, beginning of your modeling and give yourself advice with the knowledge that you have gained, what would you tell yourself as a new model?
ooh. It's boring but very practical would be to organize my photos straight away. Um, I like finally had to sit down to try and like back them all up and organize them, and I had like over 45,000 photos.
Wow.
And be like, okay. So yeah, start doing that from the very beginning. But on a more like personal note, I'm trying to think. I guess I'm pretty proud of how I just went for it. Maybe I think I do wish I had, because I was studying uni at the time, so I couldn't like fully go full-time modeling. So a bit of a career. I've never used my degree. So I'd probably say actually like quit uni and just go for it, which is pretty wild. But I think by the time I got to a place where I could full-time travel modeling, I was kind of burnt out from traveling so much and I wanted to settle down somewhere. So I think if in my early 20s I had just, full on gone for it, traveled in Europe, done all the modeling everywhere, I would have, yeah, I think that would have been the thing I should have done.
That's unconventional, but I really like that advice. As I dropped out of high school kind of, so not for modeling, just to, not be in school anymore. But
Yeah.
like you can always pick it back up if you need to. So.
Exactly. And I have never used my degrees. I don't know if I ever will. So yeah, this is not, if someone's listening and they're doing a degree, maybe don't take my word for it straight away. But
Yeah. And there's these small things that like kind of lock people into their like hometown. Like I remember I met a girl once and she had a job at Staples and she worked there one day a week, but she would do modeling here and there when she could. And I asked her, what's holding you back from being a full-time traveling model? She said, oh, I got this job at Staples. I have to be there once a week. And I was like, why don't you just quit your Staples job? She ended up doing that, and she became a multi-published model, and she was like very well known. I was like so happy for her.
oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I think it's sometimes it just takes someone from an outside perspective to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I went to uni because I was quite academic at school, so it's just almost like it was like, well, that's your only option is to go to university. And if I had had time to like really think about it more, that probably wasn't. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't for me. I would rather have done my creative modeling adventures, but I still got to make an amazing career at modeling. So yeah, all in all, it's good.
That's awesome. Yeah, and the file organization, that is super valid. I don't think anybody's ever mentioned that on the show, but I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, no, that was also one of my COVID projects was sorting through all my photos. Like, yeah, like, oh my gosh, what was this photographer's name again? I just got
Yeah.
photographer in Melbourne. It's like, great. So yeah, just now it's all super organized, and as soon as I get photos back from a shoot, well, I try, but that doesn't always happen. But I'm like, all right, save them, double save them, let's go.
And when I started modeling, whenever photographers gave me photos, it was on a burned disc.
Yeah. So that was my first. Yep.
And a lot of those discs now are like, I don't have a disk drive in my computer. I'll have to go into my old storage and like find those discs and like get some kind of a disc reader and like transfer them. So that's something that's, I guess now again on the back of my mind to do.
Yeah. That's a good indication if you ask someone when they started modeling. It's like, how did you receive your first photos? Yeah, if you got the disc, it's like we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and then for a while, everybody was giving me a USB stick.
Yeah, getting posted the USB sticks. I had that for a while too.
And then I'm just like Dropbox or Google Drive or WeTransfer. That's, in my opinion, just the best way to receive them, just so that you can have them like digitally.
Yeah. When I got my first WeTransfer photos, I was like, oh my God, so modern. Wow.
Yeah, and then file organization on my phone. Don't even get me started there.
The amount of times I've gone to get like a behind the scenes shot or something or video, and like you're out of storage. Like,
Yeah.
so yes, that's also. I've been doing that while I've got my knee in my vending machine. I've been organizing my phone.
That's good. It's good that it's sometimes good to be forced to have a reason to do something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I had all these projects to work on, but I've been having to take quite a lot of pain meds and they make me so like dopey and out of it. I'm like, oh. So yeah, I was trying to work on a second ebook and I'll do that when I'm not on the pain meds because it wasn't making any sense.
Oh, you have a future ebook that you're working on?
Yeah, it's more just for models. It goes into, it's like not a posing guide, as in like, it's not a whole lot of just photos of poses you can copy, but it's more like how I think of my poses. So it's kind of going in like my studies in choreographing dance, plus my experience of a model and how you can think about different things to create your own unique poses. It's kind of the aim of the book, but I don't know when it's going to come out, so I don't want to put any date on anything.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will be somewhat in tune with when that comes out because I'm curious too.
Cool. Well, I said, I'll let you know. Put it all on Instagram, I'm sure.
Awesome. Well, all right, Riley. I think that we've had a really good session. It was really fantastic to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, you too. I feel like we've been Instagram friends for so long, but never had the opportunity to really chat or meet up. But hopefully one day we can do a duo together.
Yeah, do you ever come to the US?
I haven't, and probably not at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how things go.
Yeah. I mean, I apologize on behalf of my country for doing like that right now. Yeah. And I'm not allowed in Canada. So
Oh no. Okay.
fine. Yeah, I have a twisted past with the DUIs in my past, and
Yeah.
they won't
Yeah.
let me in. We will.
Oh, that's such a bummer. We'll have to be in Australia. There you go.
Okay, there we go. That's neutral ground.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go, and I'll catch you on the other side.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for doing this podcast. We all really appreciate it.
Thanks. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Can you? Yeah. Okay. Right on.
Cool. Yeah, awesome.
And so, to wrap up like what I need from you moving forward, I'm just gonna need an image that I could use for the thumbnail of the podcast.
Yeah, I will have a look through my beautifully sorted photos and see. Yeah, I'll send you. Do you want like a few to choose from, or?
Yeah, if you want to send me a few. I mean, I actually was looking at your page again earlier today, and I saw that you posed together with Fannie Mueller.
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty cool. She was the last interview that I did, coincidentally.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. She sent me like 10 photos. And so when I made the Instagram reel for the podcast, I just put them on a little slideshow. Like, so if you've got like a handful that you want to send me, like that's cool. But
yeah,
like that's not a requirement for sure.
I will have a look through, and then if I can't decide, I can make you decide.
Okay, cool.
You want, I'm guessing, all like clothed.
Yeah, it has to be safe for work, sadly. And I do usually ask for something that's shot in morning or afternoon light because the podcast is called Sunrise Live.
Yeah, perfect. And I can definitely have a look, and I can send you some stuff.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, probably this evening, but got another physio appointment today, so I'll do it after that.
Okay. All right, awesome. Yeah, no worries. I've got an episode already coming out next Thursday, so you'll be coming out in about 2.5 weeks.
Okay, exciting. Awesome. That's to get,
yeah.
I'm always so bad at listening to my own voice, so I get like cringed out. Do it.
Cool. All right, well, I'm going to let you go, and I'll follow up with you on Instagram with my email address so you can have somewhere to send those photos.
Perfect. Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully we will meet somewhere someday.
Yeah. Awesome.
Alrighty.